Hello everyone, welcome again to another one-shot video lecture. Today I am here with the chapter named Water Resources. Now this chapter is part of your geography portion and talks about how the water resources are an important resource in the country. Now let us quickly move on with the chapter and start. Alright, so water resources का introduction जैसे कि आप देख सकते हो, even though 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered with water, only a small proportion of it accounts for fresh water, that we know. So therefore there is an increasing need for us to conserve or preserve this fresh water resource, which is quite valuable, which is available to us. This fresh water is mainly obtained from the surface runoff and groundwater that is continually being overused. Now that also we looked at in one of our chapters, that is named development, right? How we are overusing our groundwater resources. Now these groundwater resources are being renewed and recharged through hydrological cycle or the water cycle. Now this hydrological cycle ensures that the water is a renewable resource. Water, a very important and critical resource of India. The total availability of water depends upon monsoon, which is very uncertain. That is, we cannot predict how monsoons will affect India or how much amount of rain will be there. Water is used for drinking, domestic and various industrial purposes. Agriculture again has been the major segment in which water is being used for irrigation, has been claiming a greater and greater share of water day by day as we are increasing our agriculture. Water has become necessary for disposal of ever growing municipal sewage and dirt also. Now some of the facts and figures which are being provided, that is 96.5% of total volume of world's water is estimated to exist as oceans, and only 2.5% is existing as your fresh water. Now nearly apart from this, 70% is in the form of ice sheets and glaciers. India receives nearly 4% of the global precipitation and ranks 133rd in the world in terms of per person availability of water per year or per annum. The total renewable water resource of India are estimated at 1897 square per kilometer per annum. So these are some figures and data which has been provided. Now coming to what are the causes of water scarcity in India, why there is such an urgent need to conserve or preserve water. Water scarcity in most cases is caused by because overexploitation of this particular resource, as such excessive use and unequal access to water among different social groups. Now we also can connect this with that people who are better off have better access to water related resources, and the people who are not better off or who are socially as well as economically backward, they do not have much larger share in this resource or for this resource. An outcome of large and growing population, again this scarcity has been developed because of the ever growing or ever increasing population which we are facing as a country, and consequent greater demands for water and unequal access to it. To facilitate higher food grain production, again to facilitate more agriculture activities, more irrigation, more water is being used. Water resources are being overexploited to expand irrigated areas and dry season agriculture, in which there is as such no monsoon, so therefore you need irrigation to support that activity, that is agriculture activity. Again excessive use of underground water, where people do not have a proper water supply, so they use their groundwater resources, and now this groundwater resource is also being overexploited, may lead to falling groundwater levels adversely, that is negatively affecting water availability and food security of the people. The ever increasing number of industries also, they also need water, has made matters worse by exerting pressure on the existing freshwater resources. Industries, apart from being heavy users of water, also require power to run them. Many of our hydroelectric power plants are running because they are generating electricity, and that electricity is being used by the industries. So for industries to run, they need a constant supply of power, and much of this energy comes from the hydroelectric power. Today in India, hydroelectric power contributes approximately 22% of the total electricity that is produced. Now later on, multiplying urban centers with large dense population and urban lifestyle have not only added to water and energy requirements but have further aggravated the problem. That is, as the urban centers are increasing, So now the availability or the requirement of water as a resource or water is also increasing. So therefore, this dense population and urban lifestyle have added to the existing problem. Water is sufficiently available to meet the needs of the people, but the area still suffers from water scarcity because bad quality of water is available there. That is not very good for drinking. Even if there is ample amount of water to meet the needs of the people, much of it may be polluted by domestic or industrial waste, also chemicals, pesticides and fertilizers, which are again being used, and thus making it hazardous for consumption or for human use. Now these are, you can see, some of the multi-purpose river projects, and that is what probably can be a 1 mark question from here also in terms of your map work. That is, Damodar Valley, Bhakra Nangal, Hirakud, Kosi, Chambal, Tungabhadra, Nagarjuna Sagar, Narmada Valley and Indira Gandhi Canal. So these can be some of the tentative questions aspect for your multi-purpose river projects, or the location of the dams can be asked as a map work. All right. Now even archaeological as well as historical records show us that from ancient times we have been constructing sophisticated hydraulic structures to conserve and preserve water. Now even in the state of Rajasthan, this was a age-old practice that people used to conserve water, because here in the state there is scarcity of water. So people required water for their day-to-day activities. Now here most of the times which had been done earlier, like dams built of stone, rubble, reservoirs or lakes, embankments and canals for irrigation, all these were done since earlier times as well. Now a dam is a barrier across flowing water, that is a barrier across flowing water which obstructs the flow of this water, and then later on directs or retards the flow, often creating a reservoir, lake or impoundment. Dam refers to the reservoir rather than the structure. So it refers to the reservoir that rather than the structure, how it is built. And dams are again classified according to their structure, what is the purpose of its, why it has been built, or height, and based on structure and the materials used, dams are classified as timber dams, embankment dams, masonry dams and other subtypes. According to height, dams can be categorized as large dams and major dams, or as low dams, medium height dams and high dams. Now a dam is a series of dam or a series of dam are built on a river and its tributaries. Like a river may have multiple dams to solve various purposes, and purposes solved, and why these multi-purpose projects, what their initial aim was to stop flooding. Now this we will again see in the later part of the chapter also, that is how whether these multi-purpose projects have really been enough for or not having avoided the flood situations or other things which they were actually intended for. जिस पर्पस से इनको बनाया गया था, क्या वो इस पर्पस के लिए सक्सेसफुल हुए हैं? Now solve through a multi-purpose river projects, ये सारे पॉइंट्स जो दिए हैं आपके, कंट्रोल ऑन फ्लड एंड ड्राउट कंडीशंस को कंट्रोल कर सकता है, सॉइल इरोजन को चेक कर सकता है, पानी वाटर प्रोवाइड करता है, इरिगेशन, ड्रिंकिंग एंड इंडस्ट्रियल पर्पसेस के लिए इट कैन बी हेल्पफुल इन जनरेटिंग इलेक्ट्रिसिटी and provides inland navigation, as well as facilities for recreation can be developed as a place for tourism, preservation of wildlife, forest and development of fisheries. So all these were seen as the benefits of having these multi-purpose river projects or dams. Now our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru indicated or quoted this, that proclaimed the dams as the temples of modern India. That is, dams will be built as the temples of modern India, and the reason being that it would integrate development of agriculture and the village economy. So with rapid industrialization and growth of urban economy, so all these village and as well as the urban areas will be interlinked and interconnected, which will help in the overall development of the country. All right. Sorry. Okay. So now this is again the location which we can see probably of different dams which we have. You can see here Salal, I'll just, so Salal is here, and then Bhakra Nangal, Tehri, then we have here Damodar, then Rihand, Hirakud, Sardar Sarovar. This is related to again Kota, that is Gandhi Sagar, Rana Pratap, Kota Barrage, and related to Rajasthan. Then we have Tungabhadra here, Koyna, and that is what has been provided for us in our chapter, right? The map work. So these are some of the dams which have been mentioned. I'll just say it once more, or probably I'll encircle them. Tungabhadra, then we have Nagarjuna Sagar, then we have Sardar Sarovar, we have Hirakud here, we have Damodar here, then we have Rihand here, then we have Tehri here, Bhakra Nangal and Salal. Alright, so these are some of the important dams which are there. Now, coming to the negative features of these multi-purpose river valley projects. Now, regulating and damming rivers also leads to, see, first point, slowing natural flow of rivers. Now, what is a natural process? Is a natural process. Now, that natural process is being hindered or dammed through or obstructed, will lead to excessive sedimentation at the bottom of the reservoir, leading to rockier stream beds, poor habitat for the aquatic life. All these are interconnected, and then fragmenting rivers, making it difficult for aquatic life to migrate or fauna to migrate, and submerging, especially in flood plains, the land and the soil, and leading to degradation and decomposition. So these are some of the negative aspects related to your multi-river valley projects. Now, that same thing has been mentioned here. Regulating and damming of rivers affect their natural flow, causing poor sediment flow and excessive sedimentation at the bottom of the reservoir, resulting in rockier stream beds and poorer habitat. Again, they fragment rivers and making it difficult for aquatic fauna to migrate. Resistance to these projects have primarily been due to the large scale displacement of the communities which have been staying there for generations. These projects have also changed the cropping pattern of many regions, with farmers shifting to water intensive and commercial crops. This is also has a great ecological consequence like salinization of the soil. These projects have transformed the social landscape, that is increasing the social gap between the rich landowners as well as the poor or landless farmers, creating conflicts between people wanting different uses and benefits from the same water resources. Interstate water disputes also are being there, have become common with regard to sharing the cost as well as benefits of the multi-purpose projects. So most of the objections to the projects arose due to their failure to achieve the purposes for which they were built. That is, arose due to the failure to achieve the purpose for which they were built. Ironically, the dams that were constructed to control floods have actually triggered floods due to sedimentation in the reservoir. So therefore, this has been also questioned about whether the usefulness of these dams, mostly been unsuccessful in controlling floods at the time of excessive rainfall. Sedimentation also meant that floodplains were deprived of silt, a natural fertilizers, further adding to the problem of land degradation. Have caused induced earthquakes, caused waterborne diseases and pests and pollution resulting from excessive use of water. Now, the need for rainwater harvesting, that is, the rainwater can be harvested and put to some use. Technique of increasing the recharge of groundwater by capturing and storing this rainwater. Now, its objective is to meet the increasing demand of water. That is because the fresh water which is available to us is limited. Now, therefore, this resource has to be utilized in a proper and judicious manner. Reduce runoff, avoiding floods, flooding of roads, improve the quality and quantity of underground water as well. Now, examples of rainwater harvesting in India. Now, there have been different examples where this rainwater has been or harvesting has been practiced. Like in ancient India, people already practiced it and used it to meet their water demands. Now, people had in-depth knowledge of rainfall regimes and soil types and developed wide-ranging techniques to harvest rainwater, groundwater, river water and flood water in keeping with the local ecological conditions. Now, in hill and mountainous regions, people built diversion channels like the Guls and the Kuls in the western Himalayas for agriculture. Rooftop rainwater harvesting was commonly practiced to store drinking water, particularly in Rajasthan. But nowadays in Rajasthan, this practice is slowly diminishing or fading away. In the floodplains of Bengal, people developed inundation channels again to irrigate their fields. In arid as well as semi-arid agriculture, fields were converted into rain-fed storage structures that allowed the water to sweep in or stand and moisten the soil, like the Khadins in Jaisalmer and the Johars in Rajasthan, other parts of Rajasthan. Now, moving on to semi-arid and regions of Rajasthan, that is in the Bikaner, Falodi and Barmer regions, all the houses traditionally had these water retaining structure, that is underground tankas or tanks. That is underground tanks or tankas for storing drinking water. Now, tankas were built inside the house, main house or the courtyard. They were connected to the sloping roof of the houses through a pipe. Rain falling on the rooftops would be collected in these tankas and could be later on, when there were extreme dry conditions, this water was used as a resource for them. Rain falling on the rooftops would travel down the pipe and was stored in these underground tankas. The first spell was not used, was usually not collected, as this would generally be used to clean the roof as well as the pipes. The rainwater from the subsequent showers was then collected. Water stored in the tankas proved to be an extremely reliable source of drinking water when all other sources dried up. So, it was used as a reliable source of water when all other sources were dried up for these people, and is considered to be one of the purest form of natural water. Now, one more example, in Gendathur, a remote backward village in Mysore, Karnataka, villagers have installed in their households rooftop rainwater harvesting structures to meet their water needs or demands. Tamil Nadu has been the first state and the only state in India which has made rooftop rainwater harvesting compulsory for all the houses across the state. Now, there are also legal provisions to punish the defaulters. All right. So, this is something about rainwater harvesting in semi-arid regions of Rajasthan, and this brings us to the end of our chapter. And thank you so much for watching this one shot video on water resources.